Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me each week at this time as we explore places to go and things to do. Well, these are really the best of times, and I say that because the best of times is one of the great show songs of all times, and it is, of course, an important feature of La Cage aux Folles, which is at the Westchester Broadway Theater. And I'm absolutely delighted that the two stars of that are here today to talk to us about the show and about the theater. We're going to have a great time. So my two guests are David Edwards, who plays Albin, and, of course, Tom Urich, who plays George. Now, we have the French pronunciation, right? Albin and George, right? You've both done other shows at this theater, and this is a unique theater in many ways.
Very.
What is it that makes it so special, Tom?
I've been coming here back about every 5 years, and part of the reason, I think, is that the producers allow me to do things that I wouldn't be able to do anyplace else.
What have you done here?
Well, I've done Music Man, which people usually think I'm too sophisticated for, but it's not true. I've done 1776, Baby, La Cage before, and an original play that I don't remember the name of what it was. Something of the Heart. I don't think it was Christ.
Well, one of your fans remembered it, though.
That's right.
She wrote it down for you.
Yeah.
And, of course, you've been here.
Well, this is my third show this year, so because I did Man of La Mancha last year, and I did the Christmas show. And so now for something completely different.
Of course, there's a lot to this show. We're going to get into a lot of it. It was a tremendous hit. It won, 6 Tony Awards in 1983, and I saw it twice on Broadway. I saw it once real up close in the third or fourth row, and then I saw it way up in the balcony.
With the same cast?
The same cast, same show. But it was like seeing two different shows. There's an entirely different perspective because it's a spectacle.
Yes,
really,
absolutely.
And when I saw La Cage here at the Westchester Broadway Theater, it also was a completely different show. It's the same and it's different.
It's because it's very intimate. I think in this house, because it's a club. You can talk to the people, you can see them, and I think that's what makes it really special. You know, it becomes a very intimate, close family.
And it is a spectacle, but it's also a story, a family story.
It is
a very
story.
Small group of people, so it's
and it's funny.
Intimate story, yeah.
And it's funny, and the theme, of course, is something that people accept today. And once you get past that, you realize that it applies generally everywhere.
And this is a wonderful cast too. I mean, this is my 9th production of La Cage. I stood by on Broadway and did it a long time there, and I did it all over the country. And I can say that, this group of people is as good, if not better, than anybody I've ever worked with. I think the dancers are superb. Of course, David is, right at the top. So
I think I want to get into that. Getting into that costume all the time, does that make it a hard show to do?
Well,
I mean, you're so believable.
First time at the rodeo, so to speak. And it's really funny because there's a similarity between this and Man of La Mancha. In the beginning, in Man of La Mancha, Quixote comes out and becomes Cervantes becomes Don Quixote, and I become Zaza in this production. So you're putting on makeup in front of the audience.
And that, of course, is a great scene where, that establishes everything. And what is the words of it? A little more
mascara. I think you see right then and there that this guy feels most attractive and most useful and most his whole self-esteem revolves around becoming this character.
Now, I have to ask you a question. Of course, normally you put your makeup on in a dressing room, and here you're working with, is that a real tiny mirror that you're working with?
Yeah, we cheat a little bit. I do the base makeup and a little shading and to conform my face to look a little more feminine. I do a little contouring and everything. So, but the illusion is that I do most of it on stage, and most of it. I mean, the false eyelashes have to go on stage, which is the hardest part because I don't know how women do it all the time. I glue my eyes shut half the time, and then I'm out there in the scene. Why is it so dark out here? Yeah,
like Lucy. I love Lucy's.
Yeah, and one may be up here, and one is down on the. I don't know how. And if I come on back into the dressing room and get a good look at myself in the mirror and say, "Oh my God, what have I done?" Because sometimes the rouge will be a little. It's hard because we do it with the illusion that there is a huge mirror in front of me, but I cheat and just use a little tiny mirror. And
I thought about the putting the eyelashes on. That would probably be a problem up there, and sometimes you hit and sometimes
I think during rehearsal there were times when he came out just had one on. It was very funny.
And then they lose it out there, and then there's a spider on somebody's costume when you least expect. Yeah, it's actually harder to get into the costume than it is the makeup at that point, because the makeup I'm at least doing myself. But
well, the costume you go behind the screen.
Yeah, I have somebody helping me there, but she's trying to stay out of sight. So sometimes she doesn't get me all the way zipped up there, and we got two arms and one. I mean, one arm and I don't know. Yes, whatever. I mean, I was trying to get two arms in one armhole the other night, and that was a little uncomfortable. But
and you play, of course, the solid, steady.
We hope
it's underplayed a lot, isn't it?
Right. It's
contrast is very strong.
I think he's really the foundation of the piece. I mean, usually you see Zaza and you think that she never leaves stage. Well, I'm only off stage for one point when he's doing his big number, and when I am off stage, I'm just really fast changes. So
there's so many changes going on, and you know, of course, what are they called? The dancers?
The kajels.
The kajels. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I do, and I saw the people at the next table, is trying to figure out who was really women and who was really men. It's very hard to do.
I think the show was built that way.
Yeah.
Because originally there were three girls on stage. And
were there?
Yeah, and who was what. That's why they chose, when they originally cast, they chose young ladies who were tall.
Yes.
And thin.
Yes. Is it difficult for the members of the chorus to play those roles? They keep going in and out of it, and some of the scenes.
Well, I mean, they have to double. So, and besides just really changing your clothes, they have to develop a through line on their characters. Yeah. It's harder to do. Sure. When I think these guys have done an amazing job making each one of those kajels a separate character.
Oh yeah,
and
doing it beautifully too.
Yeah.
I have to comment here about when I walked into the theater and saw the set. It's so impressive.
Wasn't
and of course, George Coelho, who I know and has been on this show several times, and not only did the set but also directed. He's an amazing, I can't say triple threat, and maybe quadruple or more. I mean, there's so much that he does. He writes, he music. He sure is. It's amazing. And there's so much, it must be so difficult to visualize. I've talked to him about this, to visualize what he wants the set to be and then to make it happen.
Does it for him? Somehow I think he
knows exactly what
I think he's got great ideas, knows exactly what he wants and how to put it down.
I think you said it very well. Yeah. He can see it like I suppose a good director sees every scene. A movie director, he sees every scene. Hitchcock, for example, did storyboards on every scene, exactly what he wanted it to be before he started. It's inconceivable to me.
Me too. I just can't.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, he storyboarded all of his. In fact, they said after he would storyboard, half the time he wouldn't be there. He just gave the storyboard, whoever was the AD would shoot it for him.
Except for his one scene, of course.
Yes, of course.
Since I never know what I'm going to say next, I find it very, very difficult to see people plan like that. Another thing that I like particularly about this show is that it's full of surprises. There are things that are happening, and you forget. I forget, at least, although I've seen it. You forget the things that are going to happen, and when the revelations are going to come, and when the unusual things are going to happen. The timing is very important, isn't it?
Very important. Yeah, and it's not always what we'd like it to be, but, again, each audience laugh at different things, and so you have to time it according to their laughs as well.
How do you time it according to laughs?
Well, you just have to, the old school.
One ear open.
And I mean, I came from the schools that if they're laughing, you never let them finish. You jump in right toward the end of their laughter. That keeps it going, and
you have to not let them get ahead of you because then they know what the joke is before we do,
But I choose sometimes to telegraph what's coming a little bit, just so. I think George disagreed with me on this. He says they're going to be ahead of you. I said, I know. I would like them to be ahead of me at that one little point. Toward the end, the choice. When I'm looking at him, and he says, "How can I get out of here?" And I look at him and say, "Well, there is a way." So I want them to know that I'm going to put him in a dress. But George didn't want that. He'd rather it be a surprise. And I felt the anticipation of seeing this character in a dress would be, more. I don't know. A little more exciting than being surprised by it.
Without giving away too many of the surprises and the secrets. But every time I've seen that done in different companies, different productions, it's been done differently. So you never know what's going to happen.
Well, I think that's the freedom of the actor, too, to...
Every night the show is different for us, too. I mean, a lot depends on the audience, and a lot depends on, what our rhythms are that night.
Talk about the audience. You do have a chance to go down into the audience and work the audience a little bit, which was a surprise for me. I had not recalled that having been done.
Yes, I go right down in there with my marabou feathers and my bugle beads and hope I don't get caught on a light fixture or a table, and I have a great time. They play right along with me, and they become characters. Sometimes they're a little terrified. They see that white spotlight coming down on them, and they think, "Oh, what the heck is he going to do to me?" But they really enjoy.
Are you limited about what you can ad lib and
well, nobody's told me. I don't know. Sometimes I'm out there for a good long time, and I have not been limited by any authority yet. So we haven't been closed down by by the police yet. But
getting back to the other thing you were saying about the different audiences and different shows, and a lot of it too is the performer. I mean, if we happen to have a bad night and don't sleep much, our energies are a little different that day and so that show will be just a little different because of our energy being a little down, or maybe even bigger because.
And a show like this where you get so much energy back from the audience. I mean, it's one thing to do a drama and make them cry, but when you really need the laughs to get that energy back, and because I do play with the audience a lot, the more they're participating, the more energy you get back. So even if you did have little sleep last night, you feed off of that. And it really is. I say I've done La Mancha up here and La Mancha in several other theaters, and even though it's a shorter show and there's only one costume, it's harder because it just takes your so much emotion out of you, and physically at the end of the night you feel drained. This you feel exhilarated because you get so much. It's such a wonderful warm feeling to get people to laugh.
We've talked so much about the costume and getting into it. I think we ought to show people exactly how lavish it looks. It's unbelievable, the costuming on this. Now, where did it come from? Is that original costuming?
I really don't know.
They are the Theone Aldridge dresses from the original.
And they are magnificent. Surrounded by all this beauty, how do you feel up there on the stage?
Well, it's a little intimidating at first. I didn't think I could pull it off, but I've seen the pictures, and I don't look half bad.
You never know until that point. I do want to get into a little more about the theater and how it works, but before we do that, I think I just want to remind our audiences what we're talking about today, and we're talking about, of course, Aux Folles, which is at the Westchester Broadway Theater. It'll be there through July 4th. I enjoyed it very much, and my two guests today, of course, are David Edwards, who plays Albin, and, of course, Tom Urich, who plays George, the two stars of the show, and both have played at the Westchester Broadway Theater many times. The theater itself, with its revolving hydraulics, has been used in many of the productions, but it's not used in everyone.
Right.
In this show, it is
never better than here.
I just think it works so well, not overdone, and there's even a little trapeze bit where some of the people come rising out.
I love it when Anne comes out of the smoke.
And comes out of smoke and does the dancing.
Yeah.
Incidentally, she kicks higher than anyone I've ever seen.
She's a delightful young woman.
Her legs are probably twice as long as she is. I don't know how she does that.
But spins a lot.
and yeah, it's kind of establishes the character.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
that's her personality.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you end up on the swing.
Yes, I do, and 40 pounds of bugle beads and sequins up there, so it's a little hard to kind of get your butt on there and stay steady. And but it's
Is there a
fun.
safety? I didn't know when you have a. Do you hold?
No,
just hold on?
I just hold on to the cables on either side and
hope for the
give
best.
them a nod up in the booth when it's time, when I think that I'm on there, and so it's well, we play with the audience a little bit and try to make it look as though I'm a little nervous up there, but it's not hard work because I am a little nervous up there. So
You say you're a little afraid of heights, huh?
well, as long as the audience is laughing, I forget that I'm afraid of heights. But as soon as they
with all the costume changes, and there's so many of them, with all the running in and out, is it dangerous backstage?
Well, the first couple of weeks it
better tell
was.
us.
I broke a little finger. The last scene, we walked off stage, and it was dark, and of course the spots are in your face, and you can't see when you walk out. And I tripped over a piece of scenery and broke my little finger. I took off the splint, so it doesn't look so bad for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I guess. Then the following Saturday, the same spot, I fell over and bruised my shoulder and my arm.
I think audiences would be amazed to see how much stuff there
goes
is
on
back
backstage
there because of the huge costumes and pieces, sets, and we have a lot of quick changes. So
and limited space for all the girls. I mean, the guys and the cajals. Just it's packed, And
You have difficulty in figuring out whether that guy's a girl yourself.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny when it gets to the point where you think of them as girls when they're
as soon as they put on the drag there.
I have been backstage, and I've also had an opportunity to stand behind the stage manager during a production.
Sure.
I never realized before that how carefully everything is choreographed, and everything that happens is all under complete control.
Yep.
And even the spotlights, when you switch positions, how they have to switch on you. It's
and early in the run, they would do things like they even brought up a tape and said, "Stand here," so the light will hit you in the wrong. I kept missing it by a foot. So I said, "Don't put that." I says, "I'll hit it."
In some theaters, you talk about tripping off stage. They do put some tape on.
Glow tape.
Glow tape.
They have it here too. It was my own clumsiness, really. That I was rushing and not looking where I was going. So
the lights have to hit the glow tape for a certain amount of time before it reflects back on you. So if it's in the dark most of the night, it really doesn't. The glow tape doesn't even help. But we have crew people backstage with flashlights now lighting the way for us.
Right at the top, the kiosk. The first 4 or 5 shows, I kept running into it because I couldn't see it, and they now have glow tape all around the back of it. It's very easy to see. So
some of the behind the scenes that the people don't realize, it always looks different from the other side.
I'll say.
How about the singing now? I found that every word is as clear as can be, and you both have terrific voices. You've both been singing for a long time. You do some opera as well?
I did years ago. I don't really do that anymore.
You do
I
cabaret
sang with
too?
Symphonies and I just after several years of not doing cabaret, I got a new act together last summer and I did it. And I'm dying to get back to it, but it takes a lot out of you to do that, and you can't do that after you do 8 shows a week.
No, you
in
can't.
a show like this.
Well, some people can.
Well, if you do, I think you just have to pace yourself because I know after 8 shows I have my voice is tired, and you have to know when to rest. So that
I'm a great fan of cabaret, and I see a lot of it, and I've had quite a few cabaret people on this program. But the wonderful part about cabaret is you control the program.
Yeah. I've been working with my wife. My wife is now in Wizard of Oz at Madison Square Garden. And we've been working in cabaret. We moved to California 7 years ago. And we were trying it out by singing at the American Legion, at the Braille Institute, and we've refined it, and we have several, but course, we're on the road now, so but we have several opportunities in California to sing cabaret, which is totally different, but really great.
They do some wonderful things in New York and cabaret. They have, of course, the MAC Awards here and the Cabaret Convention, and they're doing 3 nights in June that Donald Smith is doing, and I try to see as much of those as possible.
You get to do songs, too, that you would never do otherwise,
right.
which is a great part of it.
And you own the content,
Absolutely.
Which is the best part.
Yeah.
Of course, sometimes you go to a cabaret club and there are only 15 people in the audience. It's a little rough working when that's happening, but it's fine. I do want to make sure, absolutely, that we tell people how they can get more information. Of course, the telephone number for the Westchester Broadway Theater is 914-592-2222. 592-2222, and we'll put that up in the closing credits as well. This is 111th performance, La Cage. More to come. Funny Girl is coming in this summer. It's coming in July.
He wants to do that, too.
I figure since I look a little like Barbara Streisand.
And Robin Williams. Don't forget
Robin Williams. Well, yes, but there's nothing for Robin Williams in Funny Girl, as far as we know. So.
So you want to do
the actor always is looking for his next employment.
I hear that all the time. Rue McClanahan said on this program, she said, do you ever hear of any other business or profession where you're looking for a job 9 times a year? I mean, here's someone who's working all the time.
All the time, yeah.
and yet constantly looking for a job. I mean, that's the theater. Audition, or hopefully not audition and just be called.
That's the luxury, really, when they call, like when they call for this, no auditions, would you like to do it?
Yes, that's a better way to do it. Yeah. My Fair Lady is coming in October, so things are really moving in a great direction as far as the Westchester Broadway Theater. How about the future? We talk about auditions, and we talk about people tell me that they're always auditioning, even when they're doing a show.
Well, it seems to be a little different on the West Coast. Actually, I turned down a soap opera to come and do this show. I'd grown a mustache and shaved, and a show called Port Charles, which is a spin-off of General Hospital. And they thought I was going to be able to fly back and forth to do the show. And I said it was impossible, so that's what I was going to do. And when I get back, I don't know if it'll still be there. I will find out. But I'm getting close to retirement. I'm ready to take it easy.
People never retire.
No, not in this business.
No.
Well, people say when you retire that I don't know how I ever had time to work. I was so busy.
Yeah.
I started by talking about the best of times. To me, I have to admit that I had forgotten that it was in the show, and I don't look in the playbill to see what's coming. I like to be surprised. I think surprises are very important in the theater. And, of course, we have this scene in the restaurant. And it's a key part, of course, of the show because it opens up and the revelation of who you are and so on. And here is this great scene. Everybody's seated at a table, and you come on and do your number, and then sing this great number, Best
Sings
of Time.
Beautifully too, doesn't he?
Best of Time. It is so great. I think. Of course, I Am What I Am is very, very important for the show because that tells what you are, really, as far as you feel about yourself.
But the people love Best of Times because I think at one point in time you look out when you're doing that, and they're joining with you in the clapping, and it affects them.
My favorite song on the show is Song on the Sand, which I only get to sing a little reprise of, but Tom sings it to me every night, so I can just sit there and
I love it.
Enjoy it.
And I love it, and I was delighted that Perry Como recorded it, because I've heard it. It is such a great number. And funny, I just never remember the name of it. It's like
Song of the Sand.
Yeah, Song of the Sand. The title doesn't get me, but
that's interesting because that's what the song is about. It's someone trying to remember.
The la la la. He's forgetting. What he's doing, and that's why he says, I hear la da da da. Otherwise, if you really analyze it, it's kind of a dumb lyric, really.
Yeah, well, when I listen,
it's one of those things that has to be sung in order to be, it's.
There's the plot.
When I hear familiar songs, sometimes the tune is familiar to me, and sometimes the lyrics, and sometimes both of them. But sometimes I don't even know the lyrics, but I know I don't know, being in the business, you may have a different attitude about it, but sometimes I never hear the lyrics, unless I know them real well.
Well, I don't know. I think it's because I love musicals, but I always approach it from the lyric standpoint first.
I think it's probably more difficult with the newer. Well, he's not really new, but Sondheim, I think you need to hear those lyrics 3 or 4 times before you go to the show.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't get them all.
No.
You know? They're very intelligent, of course.
But Jerry Herman, who, of course, wrote this, he did the music and the lyrics, is really remarkable.
Oh, he's such a gentle, lovely man, too.
And some people have said that they like this show. They think it's better than Hello, Dolly.
Yeah. Well, you know what his favorite show is Mac and Mabel.
Oh, which was not much of a success.
Not much of a hit, but he still thinks it's his best work, and he still would like to have a production of it. And the score is, I think, wonderful.
Of course, what the public says and
That's right,
what the people put it together, even in the greatest, the Rodgers and Hammerstein didn't have all great hits.
That's right.
And you never know. And you see that, of course, happening on Broadway, certainly in this season and seasons before. People put a lot of money and a lot of time and think they have something great, and great talent is involved, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. A lot of times you don't know. Well, I know when you're doing a show out of town, sometimes years ago when I did Applause on Broadway, I think we had about 7 opening numbers. Every day you'd learn a new one. You'd try it out that night, and they'd say, Michael Bennett would say, "Nah, it doesn't work," it was Ronnie Fields then. And you'd do another one. He said, "Well, that almost worked." To me, I think when they did Applause, they cut out one of the most beautiful ballads I've ever heard. And they threw it out. They said it just did not work in that particular spot,
It's amazing. And sometimes the critics will rave about a show and it won't work, and sometimes they'll pan a show and it will go on forever. Unfortunately, well, maybe advertising, maybe word of mouth. Unfortunately, we can't go on forever because we've run out of time.
Sure.
So I thank you both for coming at Aux Folles at the Westchester Broadway Theater. Really terrific. You do a wonderful job, and I thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
And of course, we're talking today about Aux Folles, and it's a great show at the Westchester Broadway Theater. We've given you some insights, some backstage. I think you'll enjoy it. Go see it. I'm Norman Liss. The name of this program is The Way to Go. Until next week at this time, enjoy yourself.